Yeah, I think there's so many things out there that have become these caricatures.
Yes.
And so even talking about him curling his lip, it's something he didn't do as much as we think he did.
Right.
Or he'd do it for a photo, or he'd do it for so he was finding how subtle could you go with things and still have the essence. And so it was this constant back and forth. And that's the tricky thing, is going back and forth between incredibly technical things and then never losing the humanity. Like that was the goal, is always have his soul in there, you know.
So the moves weren't. So what you're telling me is you already had the moves.
I had to work hard for those.
Okay.
Yeah, but the thing with him is they weren't moves, they were coming out of the feeling of the music. So for me, it had to be about finding the feeling of the music, moving me in that way. And that's what was really fun. It was liberating.
Now, you know, when people hear you in this movie, the first thing people are going to say too is, did you sing? Like, where have you been all of our lives sounding like that?
I'm on before the shoot, and nobody's gonna remember me. I need to get back to who I really am.
So I was, yeah, I mean, the whole beginning process of this was me kind of going, do I believe I can do it?
Okay.
Because I didn't believe it in the beginning, but I wanted to take on the challenge.
Right.
So it was like looking at Mount Everest and going, I want to climb that, but I don't know if I have it in me.
I need to get to base camp
You know what?
one
Yeah,
first,
you got to
right?
get to base camp and take it one step at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that so much. You know, just like Elvis, you're no stranger to fame. So the way that people react to him is like the girls lose their darn minds. Have you had a fan encounter that you're like, whoa, I can't believe that just happened to me?
I think every time, I still have that feeling of shock when people know who I am. I just think of myself being a little kid who, you know, nobody knew who they were.
Come
so
on.
I feel that. You kind of get.
Even now?
Yeah, I don't know if you get used to it. It really, I mean, we had a moment on the plane where I was like in a mask and a hat,
Right.
and the stewardess started playing Elvis songs, and she said, this is in tribute to you.
Oh,
And
that's
I thought, I don't even know that you know, the fact that she knew that, so that was really special.
That's really, really cool.
And also just getting to hear his music all the time through those experiences, yeah.
I was going to say, when you think about his music, I mean, can you pick a favorite, especially now that you've embodied him for so long?
Yeah, because it's like moods, you know. There's a different song that hits you at a different point. That's the thing about this room that's so special.
Yeah.
Is, I mean, each one of these represents a different country. We have nearly every country in the world represented here. Elvis is the first artist to sell over 1 billion records.
Yeah, well, like 1 year was what, 25 million?
4 years, he sold 50 million records. And then the next year, then he sells 25 million.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, he's a young kid at that point. So, and he's recorded so many songs. He still holds the record as the artist that has the most top 40 hits.
You have this fear of tackling Elvis, which we get. And then you're mano a mano with one of the greatest actors of all time. You know what I'm saying? And Tom Hanks. What are those moments like? Is it a master class watching him work and being with him, or are there nerves? You know, knowing you're in a scene one-on-one with him for an extended period of time?
Yeah, there definitely are. I didn't know what it was going to be like when I first met him, because he's been my hero for as long as I can remember.
Oh, I like
And
that.
so when I first met him, I was at Baz's house in Australia, and I see him from far away. He's back in the backyard, and I come walking up, and he goes, "My boy!" And he holds out his arms, and he gives me the biggest bear hug. That was my first interaction.
Oh.
And then Baz walked away, and then Tom just started sharing his feelings of fear around portraying these two men. And then I could say, "You're afraid? I'm terrified."
See?
And then we were colleagues, and then we could talk
Through the lens of Colonel Parker in a lot of ways, and that complicated, toxic, loving, all of those things relationship that these two had. I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't know a lot about their history. I knew that there were issues. So it's really interesting to see how this movie dives deep into that, and also to acknowledge, you know, you were talking about misconceptions of Elvis, because I think for a lot of like African Americans, we have a bit of a complicated relationship with Elvis and his music.